What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Back by popular demand is my 10 roller coasters that changed the industry series. There were a lot of coasters that I left out on my first video, and in the comments section I saw a lot of suggestions that I actually kicked out of my 10. I originally had closer to 20, but instead I wanted to cut down the video to only 10, so it would be a pretty short video compared to some of my others. But anyway, this is part 2 of 10 roller coasters I missed in my part 1, and 10 more roller coasters that changed the industry forever. So the only main rule to be on this list whatsoever is that you have to have a roller coaster that has truly inspired other manufacturers and other amusement parks to innovate similar to them. So we are going to start right off going all the way back to the early 1970s to look at the one and only Racer at Kings Island. This roller coaster might just look like a traditional old wooden racing roller coaster, but this is what many coaster enthusiasts alike say is the one roller coaster that truly saved the coaster industry and brought it up to the power that it has today. So basically in the 1960s, the roller coaster industry truly started to die down. There was no real issue with it, it was just a lot less popular to go to an amusement park and ride roller coasters. But this truly started the first wave of what we call the modern coaster industry. Without this one roller coaster, we probably wouldn't have most of the other roller coasters that I'm going to mention on this list. So let's have an anchor to carry them all down. And this was the first roller coaster on my list. The second roller coaster I want to talk about on my list is actually a model of roller coasters that was really popularized in the late 70s, especially 1977. And is credited to be one of the first launched coaster models in the world. This is the Shuttle Loop. This was a very unique model that is pretty endangered nowadays with only a few models existing, but parks like Six Flags Great Adventure, Kings Island had these, and they were pretty popular models at the time. The way these coasters would work is that there would be an electrical winch that would push the roller coaster trains at high speeds going into a loop and going into another launch area, where it will push you backwards throughout the rest of the layout. This was a pretty unique model because instead of just one launch, it actually featured two launches, one forward launch and one backward launch. Compared to today, these launches were pretty slow, but anyway, these were once again the prototype models. Number 3 is another prototype launch model that coincidentally came out the same exact year. These are the Schwarzkopf shuttle loops, and they were a little different than the Aero loopers. These were powered by either a flywheel mechanism or a dropping mechanism that would power the train to go at slightly faster speeds into a slightly different layout. While the speed was faster than the Aero launch loopers, the Aero launch loopers featured two launches, one forward and one backward, while this just featured one forward launch. You would launch right out of the station to a vertical loop, go up into a near vertical spike, go backwards through the loop, go through the launch platform into the station, and go up a backwards near vertical spike before slowing down once again. This ride used to have models almost everywhere, including parks like King's Dominion, Carowinds, Kennywood, and Knott's Berry Farm, which actually still has their model up and running called Montezuma's Revenge. But anyway, we are moving on, going right back to Kings Island, talking about one incredible wooden coaster that is still there today called the Beast. Now, I want you in 2020 to picture a roller coaster that is 15,000 feet long, 500 feet tall, and has two lift hills. That was the equivalent of the Beast when it opened up back in 1979. It opened up as the world's tallest coaster, the world's longest roller coaster, and one of the most insane roller coasters to ever be built. Even before the coaster wars started, this truly had a big impact on the roller coaster industry and inspired manufacturers to build even taller and faster roller coasters, even one at the same park known as Vortex a few years later. But we are moving on to the next coaster, and this was easily, by far, the most requested coaster that I forgot on my last video. It is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great America, the first B&M inverted coaster. Now, I could truly understand why this was such a big deal, because this roller coaster made such an impact on the industry that is still being felt today through ripples. This roller coaster had such an impact that it inspired so many other manufacturers to try out the inverted roller coaster, and it really blew up. This roller coaster features 4 inversions, 2 loops, and 2 corkscrews, and even has clones all over the world. Many inverted coasters later that have vastly improved, and you could see why this coaster was such a big deal. The next coaster I'm going to be talking about are actually two coasters. These are the Flight of Fear clones at both Kings Island and Kings Dominion, the Paramount parks at the time. What's important? Well, these were the first coasters to introduce modern magnetic launches to roller coasters. Now, basically, these were called LIMs, also known as linear induction motors, which have truly transformed now to LSMs, which are linear synchronous motors. But without LIMs, there would not be LSMs nowadays. So basically, this inspired many coasters that are still coming out to this day. Nowadays, the magnetic launches are much more popular than any of the fluid launches, so that really gives you an idea of how impactful this was, even after a second wave after the late 2000s. Next, we will be talking about another launch coaster. This is Tower of Terror at Dreamworld in Australia. It actually was the first ever roller coaster to go over 100 miles an hour during its top speed, and this is achieved by a launch. Now, this roller coaster doesn't really have much to it. It has a massive vertical spike and just a launch before and after that. But anyway, that is truly what this ride is. But the ride is still very special because it inspired a few other roller coasters to push the limits of speed and go even faster. Now we are zooming all the way up to 2007 to look at Cedar Point's very own Maverick. Now, Cedar Point has a history of innovation and creation, and Maverick was truly a one-of-a-kind coaster when it opened up all those years ago. Basically, what this coaster was is an Intamin Blitz coaster. And at the time, this was truly a one-of-a-kind model that really involved some unique elements. It was the first coaster to feature all of these elements packed into such a tiny, low-to-the-ground layout, and enthusiasts weren't impressed when they heard that only a 100-foot coaster was coming to Cedar Point. But they were truly surprised when they realized how much of a punch Maverick truly packed. And you could truly see how much of an intense coaster it is, even though that all the fun came in such a small package. The number 9 spot goes to Raptor at Gardaland. Now, what is significant about this coaster? Can you tell me? Well, it is the first roller coaster from B&M to feature winged seats. The first wing coaster, as many people call it, and B&M calls it as their model. This roller coaster model truly blew up in the 2010s, including models appearing at Dollywood, Cedar Point, Thorpe Park, and even Holiday World, which has a launch on it as well. This was a main component in my 2010s recap, as this was a pretty popular model that came out in this past decade. This roller coaster features some pretty cool opportunities, like near miss elements, and even though this isn't the most intense coaster model, unlike the B&M inverts, this still had a lot of good potential with it, including those near misses and some pretty cool photo opportunities with the incredible picturesque cars, and some other models are trying to get in on the action before the model dies down. But anyway, we have come to number 10. This is something pretty similar to number 9, because number 9 was a coaster called Raptor. Number 10 is a model called, get this, the RMC Raptor. So this came out in 2018, and 2 of them came out with Wonder Woman Golden Lasso at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and Railblazer at California's Great America, the coaster that is currently playing on your screen. So anyway, these coasters are fairly new, so it's hard to say that they've truly changed the coaster industry fair and square, but at the same time, many other manufacturers like Skyline and even Intamin have gotten in on the action, saying that they're going to build single rail roller coasters as well. They're a really cool picturesque opportunity, just like the wing coaster, and will provide something different at a park near you. But anyway, I truly feel like this model is going to blow up. This is more of a prediction than anything, but at the same time, we're just going to have to wait and see. But anyway, that was my final list for today. That was everything 1 to 10, the coasters that have changed the industry once again. Anyway, if there are more coasters that you want to see on maybe a third installation, let me know in the comments below. But for now, this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you all later.